does your cynical nature come from?
All right, so here's what you need to understand with regard to me. So the very first issue of politics I ever had was, most people don't realize this, but I actually worked for the re-election of Richard Nixon in 1972. I was 10 years old, and the Nixon campaign in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, very Catholic neighborhood, gave money to kids to put flyers during Sunday Mass on all the windshields of the cars parked in the churches, right? And they always paid us in cash. You know, you got like $10 for every 100 flyers or 1,000 flyers that you handed out. And I always like to think that the cash that I got somehow came from the bank, the secret safe where the Watergate burglars were also paid from. I like to think somehow I'm tied into that at the age of 10. But my family was all very pro-Nixon. My father voted for Nixon, my mother voted for Nixon. They loved Richard Nixon. And then when Watergate happened, I was going to summer camp, and every afternoon my father would pick me up and from summer camp drive me home. And one of the things that happened was the Watergate hearings took place. And my father listened to the Watergate hearings on his car radio every day when he picked me up. So we weren't listening to music. I would get in the car at the end of each day, and my father would drive home, and he would just be listening to all the testimony, whether it was John Dean or whoever was testifying. And he would point and talk to the radio and tell me, you've got to listen to this. This is important. And he would explain to me what was going on in the Watergate hearings. I'm 12 years old at the time, right? And when Nixon finally resigned and gave up and quit, my father was crushed. And I will never forget this moment. My father is sitting at the kitchen table in our apartment in Brooklyn, and I came in and saw him, and he was dejected. And he literally said to me, he said, you have to do better. I will never vote again. I got fooled by Nixon. Nixon fooled me. Clearly, I'm a lousy judge of character. So you, when you grow up, you have to do better in terms of figuring this stuff out. If you want to understand where the root of my cynicism and where I ask tough questions of reporters, or rather politicians, that kitchen table when I was 12 years old and my father crushed by Nixon's resignation and Watergate.